Hi everyone, let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to explain what you do to your family and friends and gotten a blank look? Or is fear holding you and your online business back right now? Now, if you answered yes to either of those, you're going to love this month's free newsletter. How do you get a copy? Head on over to writecom.com now. And by the way, if you want to make more money with your online business, you are going to love our coffee bean money making idea inside. So head over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, and you'll find the newsletter waiting for you over there. Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from writecom.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled, What's the 2.0 version of you like? Well, what's it like? Now, firstly, I want to give credit to the great Randy Gage for this podcast idea, because it's not something I really ever considered before until I read a couple of his books. Because, probably like you, I thought, well, there is only one version of me. This is the way I am. And nothing is really going to change. But isn't it funny that, when we get those alerts on our phone that telling us that Instagram needs to update or the software on our phone needs to update, we have no problems clicking on the OK button and we upgrade it, because we know that probably because of the upgrade that the software is going to be better. The phone is going to run faster. It's probably going to be maybe more user-friendly. It's going to give us more features. It's going to give us something good. So there's going to be an improvement, or there's going to be some payoff for upgrading it. When I go back to the time when I wrote fiction, I've mentioned it many, many times in this podcast, but sometimes I used to find that when I was at these family get-togethers or that we were at parties, and when I was doing a lot of writing at the time, some people used to ask me how is my books going, and sometimes maybe a third party, who was just overhearing what was going on and would just stop and they would say that, you write books, and then I would get into a conversation with that person about writing books or whatever, and I used to find that those people would say, something, I would love to write a book. I've got a great idea for a book and I would love to do it, but I couldn't do it. And with that one comment, they just quashed that dream. They would come up with a reason like, well, it's too late for me. I'm in my 60s. I'm in my 70s. I couldn't do it now in life. Or I wasn't great at English, so again, I couldn't do it. Or 100 other reasons of why they couldn't do that. And maybe you're doing that with yourself right now. Maybe you are looking at maybe parts of your business, or maybe you're just starting off on your journey in business and you're looking at what's ahead of you and you are kind of limiting yourself. You're thinking to yourself, well, I couldn't do podcasts. I couldn't do blog posts. I couldn't do TikToks. I couldn't do those things because you see yourself in the particular role that you are in. You may say to yourself, well, I'm too old to do that thing, or I don't have enough knowledge to do that thing. Or, maybe you see yourself in a role as a parent and you're thinking to yourself, well, parents don't go on TikTok making videos and parents don't write erotica, or 100 other reasons. And all because you believe that you came out of a mold, there's no wiggle room, there's no improvement, and this is the way you are. Nothing's going to change that. If you haven't written a book by now, you'll never write a book. If you've never done TikTok videos before, you're never going to do them. But how true is that? When we look back at our life, you will find that, life is constant change. It's a journey and nothing stays the same. If you go back through your life, you'll probably find phases where you were at school, college, a job, you became a parent, maybe you got married, you moved areas, and a lot of other things that happened to you along your way in life. And each one of those stages involved you changing. If we went back to you right now and went back to you when you were starting school, I'm sure we would find a lot of changes there. And even changes maybe recently, maybe when you became a new parent. I'm sure if you go back to what you were like before you became a parent, I'm sure you'll probably see that you were completely different. You were probably naive. You probably were a little bit immature. And you'll find that when you've gone through that stage, you've changed. And even when we look in the mirror, when you look in the mirror in the morning, I'm sure that you will find that face is changing over time. You'll probably find that maybe it's getting a little bit saggy. There may be a few more lines on it, maybe a few bags around it, but it's not maybe as attractive as it used to be. None of us likes to, to admit that. But you can see changes in your own face, your own physical body. But to ask us to do anything challenging, like in our 40s or 50s or 60s, and we'll tell you, no, that boat has sailed. There's no way I could do that. And we never really test ourselves to see, is that possible? Could I really write a book? Could I really go on TikTok right now and build an audience there? Could I launch a podcast and do podcast at the age that I'm at? So I want you to think about yourself right now, and I want you maybe to question your potential, the limits, and have you even come close to the potential that you have? Have you even really scratched on the abilities and all the things that you could go or that you could do? Because you see yourself as a 1.0 version. And when you think about it, if you are only a 1.0 version, you're probably coasting through life. You probably are taking the easy route. You probably aren't doing things that are making you uncomfortable. You are probably not putting yourself in situations where you are embarrassing yourself. And you're probably not doing things that you are making you grow. Because when you look around, the people that are living next door to us, how many of those people are doing anything extraordinary with our lives? And when you're surrounded by people who are just doing the normal things, just coasting through life, it's easy for us just to follow along with them and just to be the 1.0 version. If that's what everybody else is doing, well, that's what I'm doing too. And we don't really push ourselves. We don't really think, is there another version? Now, maybe right now you might say to yourself, well, 2.0 sounds a little bit high. I can't see how I could be maybe twice as good as I am now, because I can't see that far ahead. I can't see the abilities in myself. I can't see the potential in myself right now. And if you can't, maybe just scale it back a little bit and think to yourself, I wonder what the 1.1 version of me would be like. And then when you reach that level, maybe just push it a little bit more and say to yourself, I wonder what the 1.2 version of me would be like. What would I be doing? What skills, what knowledge would I be doing? Who would I be paying less attention to and who would I be supporting? How would I be turning up my daily actions? If I've just been lazy in life, if I've been coasting along, if I turned it up to 1.2, what would that mean in my daily actions? What would that mean with me getting up maybe a little bit earlier? What would that mean with me maybe not having those conversations with my friends where I'm talking about all the things I'm going to do sometime and actually doing those things today? And then, as I said, when you get to the 1.2 version, you can always upgrade again and again and again. You can add more features, you can do things that make you faster, and you can become more than you are. Because, as I said, a lot of us believe that there is just one version of us. We're the 1.0. We come out of a mold. There's no wiggle room. There's no improvement. But as I said, if you look back on your life, you will see that life is a constant change. And that constant change has made you change in certain ways. So you have really changed over time. So maybe it's time just to follow on in that process and maybe just be more deliberate about it and do things that make yourself uncomfortable and follow those dreams and get up early and do less of the talking and more of the doing. And see what potential you have. And you'll be really surprised what you can do, even though you see yourself right now as a 1.0 version. So what would the 2.0 version of you really be like? Have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the Rightcome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.